Hi, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about a subject that's really been bothering me for some time. I'm sure many of you who've tuned in would be interested in hearing what I have to say about could this be the decline of UK as a nation state? There are a number of things that are of great concern that are going on in this country, which I feel that we need to be able to talk about them a lot more. They are very concerning, and should they continue, I just feel that they are going to lead to the decline of this great country. It doesn't take rocket science for anyone to be able to notice what is really going on. And I feel like we need to raise awareness to a lot of our youngsters so that they are also aware, so that they can be driven to be part of the change that I feel is so needed in this country. I'll start with the first point, which is that we have 8 million economically inactive people of working age in this country, a population so relaxed that they have no idea what is really going on in terms of geopolitics or even with our economy. And we also have others who simply say we need to end legal or illegal migration. Yes, illegal migration needs to end, and we all agree on that. But with regards to the legal migration, or those that are actually coming to fill in the jobs that should have been done by those people, in fact, some people have even said that number is about 9 million. It depends who's looking at what stats there. But 8 million is the one that keeps coming up, that we've got a lot of people of working age who are not working, or who may not work, or may never work. And so those people, that population, is the one that is now replaced or being replaced by people who are coming to take over key jobs which cannot be covered in this country. And I just feel like a lot of people are not aware. I've seen a lot of people marching in this country, that there are people coming in to take jobs. But these jobs have not been filled. There's been a huge gap within the employment market, within the health and social care, where jobs were not being filled by the local people. So the government had no choice but to be able to recruit from abroad. And also the second point, which I feel is a factor that is affecting this country, is that we have another group of people. In fact, I think a majority group of our youngsters now today, they've gone through a left-wing education system. And a lot of them are actually conditioned to believe that their culture and identity has little value. And they've been made to feel that even the British flag is worthless. I think we've seen that story of the young girl who wore the outfit, the British flag outfit, with pride, and she was turned away. It's very sad that I feel that all this combination of things are actually contributing to the weakening of Britain as a nation state. I often sometimes even wonder, the name United Kingdom is now going to be questionable, because it's all about separate communities who are increasingly assertive and of their own identity and culture. And this is now something that is becoming a new phenomenon of Western nations or Western European nations. And you don't get it in other countries in parts of the world. I looked at the head teachers at that school online, only to notice that they were all white British head teachers and deputy head, who actually made this decision to be able to belittle the local culture. And we are now living in a community where I feel that it's all about communities that are becoming a lot more assertive, and those are the ones that are now being raised. And we're in a community where it's okay, or people are more inclined, or the British people, to raise the Ukrainian flag or the Palestinian flag. Not that there's anything wrong with doing that, but it's just about people losing confidence in their own culture. We now have a population who I believe have self-hate. They prefer to raise other people's profiles or countries, and I just think that there's a sad weakening of patriotism, particularly amongst the young generation, because of this education system. And also the second point, which I feel is affecting our communities or affecting the population at large, is also that apart from the left-wing bias in the education system, is also the welfare state. I think it's partly contributing to some of the major issues that we are having of young people that are now lacking motivation, they are lacking resilience, and they are not even interested in working. So they are not even understanding what is happening in the world, the geopolitics. And now they are competing with a lot of other people that are coming into this country from countries where the opportunities that our young people are taking for granted are like massive for these other people. They are hungry to learn, they are hungry to get into the tech industry, they are hungry to really do better and to progress themselves, and they actually understand the geopolitics. Some are coming to work for a short period, then returning to their respective countries. And I just feel that our young people cannot see what is really going on. I've seen a number of protests whereby people are saying, we need to stop people coming in and taking our jobs. It's not as simple as that. And that is something we need to really be able to communicate to a lot of our youngsters or teenagers. And I truly believe that having a nation state is a godly institution, is biblical, which is why God created nation states and broke down the Tower of Babel. And it appears that all this is falling apart now. Sadly, it's even questionable if our King Charles, is now the defender of the faith, meaning the Christian faith. That's how I've always known Britain to be. I feel that at an individual level, there's a turn away from the Christian faith in this country. That's my personal opinion. And some people claim that Britain is a Christian country, whereas in reality, I would estimate that no more than 1 in 10 people are believers in this country. And I honestly feel that this has created a spiritual vacuum, which is being filled by other religions and belief systems, and also some other factors that are influencing some of the decline of this country. Also the geopolitical factors, which are contributing to the economic decline of Western economies, i.e. the rise of BRICS nations led by China, and they're also sort of growing economically and trading amongst each other, whereas before, the West were involved in trading with a lot of the other countries, and the rise of a lot of African countries as well is also, shifting the way trade has been happening. And many people are complacent of the sustainability of the current economic pressures on Britain and other European economies, and also our ability here in Britain to sustain the current levels of public sector spending. The NHS spends almost $1 billion a day, and we've got 8 million people that are not working, that are being funded by taxpayers. We've got a lot of young people that are not motivated to go out and work for this country, to go out and represent, and I also know that they are the impact caused by the changing relationship with the rest of the world. And unfortunately, mainstream media doesn't even talk about these factors. Our young people need to smell the coffee. If they want the UK to survive, they are the future generation of this country. And if they want the UK to survive as a nation state, rather than an economic zone, which I feel that's the direction the country is going now, we need to encourage young people to be able to understand the geopolitics and to be able to be driven and hungry and thirsty to see this country getting better. I often look at the leaflets of some of the councillors in my area where I live, and I find that a lot of them, you don't really typically see a lot of white British people doing some of these voluntary roles, which then in turn will turn up to be the key roles in this country. They're not even driven, and some actually think that there is a big pot of money, endless pot of money that is just going to be there for them. And this is why we now have an increase in mental health, because it's a shock to the system, to some people, to even start to talk to them about going back to work, about being able to, to develop this country better, to make this country a lot better. and the public sector spending is huge. And I think these are conversations that we as parents or families need to be able to talk to our young people about, so that we can motivate them. You know, you look at a lot of people from different backgrounds that are so driven, the opportunities that they have in this country, they would have never dreamt of. This is why there's a rise in a lot of people who are doing well. You only have to walk into our hospitals to see the nurses, the doctors. You know, there's an underrepresentation now within our hospitals, within a lot of jobs. I'm sure many of you will agree. And we're not seeing these discussions in the mainstream media, or there's I think there's almost like a feeling that to even talk about it is wrong. And I don't think it's the wrong thing to do if one cares about this country. We can complain about immigrants taking our jobs, however much that is due to the lack of resilience amongst our young people and unwillingness to do particular jobs in this country. And we need to continue to have these conversations if we are to actually be able to build a better country, or to be able to do something more positive towards Great Britain. Let me know in your thoughts what you think about what I've just said, because I'm very passionate about this country. It is a land of opportunities, but we need to be able to empower our younger people to be able to go out there and make a difference and create a better future for themselves and for those that will come after them. Let me know your thoughts. I know this conversation is very controversial to talk about, but it needs to be talked about. Let me know in your comment section what your thoughts are. And if you've watched this to the end, like, subscribe, and share. And let's have a conversation. Let's encourage others. Let's tag those that might need to hear this, so that we can continue to raise this awareness. Thank you so much. It's Shirley here. Till next time. Bye for now.